Hi, friends. Today, I want to share a new story with you. Hope you enjoy it. I always thought I was doing the right thing, working hard, saving money, being responsible. That's what adults do, right? At least, that's what I've told myself for the past 10 years while working 60-hour weeks at my accounting job. My name is Hannah Mitchell. I'm 30, single, and, as of 2 weeks ago, a proud homeowner. When my grandmother passed away, she left me a small inheritance. It wasn't enough to change my life, but it did help with buying a home. I had been saving ever since I got my first job at 22, living in a tiny apartment, packing my own lunches, and skipping vacations while my friends traveled and bought new clothes. While they were posting photos from exotic places, I was working extra hours and saving every penny I could. So, when I finally saved enough $300,000, I bought my dream apartment with no mortgage, no debt. It's mine. The apartment is a 2-bedroom place, about 10 minutes from my office, in a neighborhood that's up and coming. The previous owners had terrible taste in wallpaper and the kitchen needs an update, but I don't mind. I decided to do the renovations myself to save money. YouTube tutorials have become my new favorite evening activity. I was scraping off the old wallpaper when my phone rang. It was my mom. "Hannah, I need you to come over next Saturday for family meeting," she said, sounding a little too casual. "A family meeting? What's going on?" I asked, pausing my work. "It's a surprise. Just make sure you're here by 4. And bring one of those chocolate cakes from that bakery near your new place," she said. "Mom, seriously, what's this about?" I asked, feeling suspicious. "Just a small gathering. Your sister will be there with Kevin, and I've invited your aunts, uncles, and cousins too." That made me raise an eyebrow. The whole family for a small gathering? "It's a surprise, Hannah. Just be here, okay?" she said and hung up. I shrugged and went back to my work. Whatever drama my mom was planning could wait. I had a home to fix. My sister, Lily, is 3 years younger than me. She's been dating Kevin for 4 years, and they live in a rented apartment downtown. Unlike me, Lily's had things easier. She was the popular one in school, while I was more focused on academics. She dropped out of college, while I worked hard to get my accounting degree. Our parents never seemed to mind. Growing up, it was always about Lily. When we both had dance recitals on the same weekend, guess who my parents went to see? When we graduated, Lily got a huge party for finishing high school, and I got a quiet dinner at Olive Garden for finishing college. I'll never forget my 16th birthday. I got a used bike. Lily got a car for her 16th. When I asked why, they said Lily needed it for her social life, as if my debate tournaments didn't matter. But I never complained. I worked harder, saved more, and proved I could take care of myself. The week flew by as I continued working on my apartment. I got all the wallpaper down and started priming the walls for painting. Seeing my progress felt so good. On Saturday, I woke up early to finish painting before heading to my parents' house. I stopped by the bakery for the chocolate cake my mom loves. As I drove to my childhood home, I wondered what the family meeting could be about. My parents' house is the 2-story colonial that my grandmother left to me and Lily when she passed. We let our parents continue living there. It's full of memories, both good and bad. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw several cars. I recognized my Uncle Steve's truck, Aunt Karen's minivan, and my cousin Derek's motorcycle. Whatever this meeting was, it was a full family event. Taking a deep breath, I grabbed the cake and went inside. "Hannah's here," my mom called as I walked in. She gave me a quick hug and took the cake from my hands. Perfect timing. We're about to sit down. I looked around the room. Lily and Kevin were on the couch, whispering to each other. My dad was talking to Uncle Steve. Aunt Karen and my cousins were heading to the dining room. "What's going on?" I asked Lily as I walked up to her. She smiled, looking mysterious. "You'll see." That didn't help my growing unease. I followed everyone into the dining room, where Mom had set the table with her fancy china, only used for big occasions. Whatever was going on, it seemed important. I sat next to my cousin Derek, who looked just as confused. "Do you know what this is about?" I whispered. He shook his head. "No clue. Your mom just called us all here for some big news." The food was served: pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans. The cake I brought sat in the middle for dessert. Everyone chatted, avoiding whatever was coming. Finally, after everyone had their plates filled, Mom stood up and tapped her glass with a spoon. "Thank you all for coming," she said, smiling. "We have some wonderful news to share." Mom beamed at Lily. "Our dear Lily is pregnant," she announced. The room erupted in cheers. Lily blushed, and Kevin put his arm around her. "And they're getting engaged," Mom added. "Wedding plans will follow soon." I clapped along with the others, happy for Lily despite everything. "Congratulations, Lily," I said, smiling at her. But Mom wasn't done. She looked at Dad and Lily, then turned to me with an expression that made my stomach drop. "That's not all," she said. "We have another announcement." The room went quiet. "As you all know, Hannah recently bought herself an apartment," Mom said, pointing to me. Everyone nodded. Some even congratulated me. "Hannah is 30 years old and single," Mom continued. "No husband, no children, not even a boyfriend." My face heated up. What did my relationship status have to do with this? Lily, on the other hand, Mom went on, is about to start a family. She and Kevin need a place, not just a rental. My heart started racing. I glanced at Lily and Kevin, who were looking at their plates. Mom turned to me with a sharp smile. "Hannah, this is your chance to show how much you love your sister. I think you should give your apartment to Lily and Kevin." Silence. I stared at my mom, waiting for her to laugh, but she didn't. "You can go back to renting," she added casually, like she wasn't asking me to give away my $300,000 apartment. "You don't need all that space." I looked around the table. Dad nodded in agreement. Lily met my eyes, a mix of embarrassment and expectation. "That's a wonderful idea," Aunt Karen said. "Family should always come first." Several relatives nodded. This wasn't a suggestion, it was a plan. "You're not serious," I said, struggling to believe it. "Of course I am," Mom said, her voice turning cold. "Your sister needs it more than you do." I stood up slowly. "Let me get this straight. You want me to give Lily my apartment? The one I worked 60-hour weeks for? The one I saved for 8 years to buy? Just because she's pregnant?" "Hannah," Dad cut in, his tone sharp. "Don't be selfish." Selfish. I laughed bitterly. I earned that apartment. No one helped me. "But Lily needs," Mom started. "No," I interrupted. "Absolutely not. I'm not giving her my apartment. It's mine." Lily burst into tears, holding her stomach dramatically. Kevin glared at me like I'd done something horrible. "How can you be so heartless?" Mom demanded. "Your own sister," Dad added. "How can you ask me to give away everything I've worked for?" I shot back. "Why doesn't Lily work and save like I did?" Whispers filled the room. I heard things like "so materialistic" and "always the difficult one." "You've always been like this," Mom spat. "Always thinking only of yourself." "I'm not giving her my apartment," I said firmly. End of discussion. Then, Mom grabbed the chocolate cake I'd brought and threw it at me. The cake hit me in the face, frosting and cake splattering everywhere. The room went silent. I wiped the frosting from my eyes, cake dripping onto the floor. Dad and Lily didn't look shocked. They looked pleased, like I was finally getting what I deserved. Without a word, I grabbed my purse and keys and walked out, cake still smeared all over me. Behind me, I heard my mom shouting, "Selfish, and we should disown you." I got into my car, hands shaking, and somehow drove home, cake still on me. I collapsed onto my old couch, trying to process what had just happened. My phone buzzed nonstop with texts and calls from my parents and Lily. "You're being ridiculous. Just give her the apartment. I can't believe how selfish you're being." I turned off my phone and threw it aside. What had they ever done for me? All my life, I'd been second to Lily. When we needed new clothes, Lily got the brand names while I got clearance items. When we applied for summer camps, Lily got the camp she wanted, and I got nothing. On Lily's 16th birthday, she got a huge party. On mine, Mom made a cake and invited 2 people. And now they wanted me to give up the one thing I'd achieved on my own. I thought about the house we'd just been in, my grandmother's house. Lily and I were equal owners, and we let our parents live there rent-free. I was half owner, just like Lily. And suddenly, I knew exactly what I needed to do. The next morning, I went through my files and found Grandma's will. Lily and I each owned 50% of our parents' house. They were living there by our permission, not by legal right. I was about to call a lawyer when my phone pinged. My mom had tagged me in a post on Facebook. With a sinking feeling, I opened it and nearly dropped my phone when I saw what she'd written. It breaks my heart to share this, but sometimes family disappoints you in the worst ways. Yesterday, my daughter Hannah refused to help her pregnant sister Lily. Despite having the means to help, Hannah chose selfishness over family. The post had dozens of comments. I was there. Hannah was horrifically cruel. Some people just don't understand family. Not a single person mentioned the cake. No one questioned why I should give up my apartment. My mom was liking and responding to the cruelest comments, turning it into a public shaming. That's when I knew. Something inside me broke. I picked up my phone and called the first lawyer I could find. You and your sister each own half of the house. At any time, you can ask for it to be sold and split the money. What's the process? I asked. I'll prepare a notice saying you want to sell your share, he said. Your sister can buy you out at fair market value, or we sell the whole house and split the proceeds. Your parents have no legal say. I took a deep breath. Do it. For the next few days, I threw myself into fixing up my apartment. I'd finished painting the living room and was pulling up the old carpet. Physical work helped me stop thinking about my family's betrayal. I blocked their numbers so I could think. 5 days later, the doorbell rang. I peeked through the peephole and saw my parents, Lily and Kevin, on my porch. I stayed inside. Hannah, open the door. Mom yelled. We need to talk about that ridiculous letter, Dad added. I stayed silent and pressed record on my phone. For 15 minutes, they screamed insults and threats at the door. Finally, they left. The next day, I sent the recording to Jeremy. He called right away. That's harassment, he said. We can get a restraining order if needed. And it strengthens our case. Your family clearly showed hostility. A week later, Jeremy told me my parents' lawyer wanted to negotiate. On Monday, I arrived at his office in my sharpest suit. Jeremy reminded me, you have every right. Don't let them guilt you. My parents, Lily, Kevin, and their lawyer showed up. Mom sneered at me as she passed. Traitor. Their lawyer argued that selling the house would be too hard on the family. Jeremy pointed out the recorded harassment and online posts. After 2 hours, both lawyers conferred. They came back with an agreement. Sell the house and split the money equally, just as our grandmothers will said. Mom burst into tears. Please, Hannah, sorry about the cake. I lost my temper. I looked at her, thinking of every time I'd forgiven her. But then I remembered everything. The cake, the public shaming, the threats. The house will be sold, I said softly. That's final. Jeremy started drafting the papers. I felt my family's anger, but I didn't care. For the first time, I was standing up for myself. 2 months later, the house sold quickly in the hot market. After fees, Lily and I each got about $175,000. I spoke only with Jeremy. My parents were furious but powerless. They'd lived there rent-free for years without owning it. What's next? I asked. My sister will use her share as a down payment. Mom and Dad will move in with her and Kevin with a mortgage for the rest, he explained. I nodded. Part of me felt guilty. They'd lost their home, but another part felt justified. And you, he asked. Your plans? Investment portfolio, I said. I'm working with a financial advisor on stocks, bonds, and REITs. Smart, he approved. Then we're done. I shook his hand and left. I felt lighter, like I dropped a heavy weight I'd carried for years, the weight of always giving in. Back in my apartment, I saw how much I'd done. New hardwood floors, fresh paint, updated kitchen, new lights. It looked nothing like the place I bought 3 months ago. It was truly mine now. My phone rang. It was Sarah from work. Hey, how are you holding up? She asked. I'm okay, I said and meant it. The sale is final, and the money's in my account. And your family? I sighed. I haven't spoken to them. I hear through friends. What have you heard? Lily had a small wedding last month, without me. She's due next week, a boy. So, you're not going to see him? I thought a moment. They'll tell him Aunt Hannah was the villain who wouldn't help. They won't mention how they treated me. Families are complicated, Sarah said softly. That's the understatement of the year. I laughed without joy. They never saw me as family, just someone to use. Do you think you'll ever reconcile? Only if they admit what they did and truly apologize. I knew that wouldn't happen. My parents favored Lily all their lives. They wouldn't suddenly change now. After hanging up, I poured a glass of wine and stepped onto my balcony. The sunset was beautiful, orange and pink. 6 months ago, I would have been devastated to lose my family. Now I felt peace. Then my phone pinged. Lily had the baby. 7 pounds 6 ounces. Everyone's fine. I stared at it, waiting for an emotion, sadness, anger, regret, but I felt none. They were living together now, Lily, Kevin, the baby, mom, and dad, paying a mortgage into retirement. I couldn't feel sorry for them. They showed where I stood. Not child, not sister, but resource to exploit. My apartment was quiet. Some might call it loneliness, but I called it peace. Every inch was my work, my independence. On my shelf sat a box of old family photos, just me and Grandma. She'd loved us equally and left her house to balance things. Thank you, Grandma, I whispered, touching the box. As for the rest of my family, I had no desire to reach out. The ball was in their court, and it would stay there. I was done sacrificing for people who wouldn't do the same for me. Family should never ask you to burn yourself to keep them warm, or throw cake in your face when you refuse. My phone stayed silent, no apologies, no calls, no messages. And that was fine. I had my apartment, my investments, my career, and friends who cared. I had built my life myself, brick by brick, dollar by dollar.